हाय, गुड आफ्टरनून and welcome to Gana Short. Gana Short में आप सबका स्वागत है. Well, I'm in Mao. I'm recording this from Mao, and today I attended the uh, annual Defense and Strategy seminar in the Army War College. Came back, had lunch and all that, and then started going through the news, and I saw this. It says Z called Trump. Why did he call Trump for? Was it a threat or a panic or some kind of a deal? I went into it and I found it very interesting actually. And then I realized that the call was all about Japan. Things are heating up there. So far, it's all diplomatic, but they're taking fresh turns. And that's why I thought, let me do this short recording and put everyone up to speed on what's happening. Okay, let's go. I did this first. The Wolf Warrior is back. And when I said the Japan China conflict is deepening, you'll find this. I'll put this, link in the description of this video. And then I followed it up Chinese wolf versus Japanese warrior. Will a military conflict break out? We don't know. As of now, we still don't know. Things are still nebulous. Things are going one notch up. The fact that Xi Jinping called Trump. That's the point. The fact that Xi Jinping has called Trump means that China considers it a pretty serious issue, and they've taken it up. And they're going to. It doesn't. I mean, let's see where it goes because it's not. I don't think the Chinese have taken this whole affair well. What is the whole affair about? It was this spat between what Sana Takaichi, the Prime Minister of Japan, said about Taiwan and all that, and that went to the UN. What did she say? She said, "I believe any action involving the use of force, such as China deploying naval ships, can only be described as survival threatening situation." Where? Around Taiwan. Now, the moment she says survival threatening situation, that's a benchmark for Japanese military involvement in and around Taiwan in case China chooses a Taiwan option. That's what has put the bee in the bonnet of Xi Jinping and company. Okay, then what happened? The Chinese People's Daily went ballistic, right? They went on an overdrive and they started talking of Japan's demise and things like that. And of course, they said if they follow the old path of militarism, they will be destroyed and it will be a failure and all that. And then this comes Z. This is today morning's headline in New York Times. It says uh, Z presses Trump on Taiwan as they agreed to meet in China in April. Look, this whole thing is a bit unusual, right? And that's what the New York Post also says. What is spoken about? A lot of Taiwan, something about Ukraine, something about the trade. These three things are very clear. So why do I call it a panic reaction? Why do I call it a threat? Or it's normal trade deal? One of the three has happened. That's why Z out of the blue has called Trump. He found it fit enough to call Mr. Trump, right? And when I look at it, yeah, we'll go through the whole thing before I. Then Xi Jinping comes out with a statement. All China comes out with a long statement outlining what was spoken, all that. But the operative part of the statement is this: President Xi outlined China's principled position on the Taiwan question. He underscored that Taiwan's return to China is an integral part of the post war international order. China and the US fought shoulder to shoulder against fascism and militarism. Given what is going on, it is even more important for us to jointly safeguard the victory of World War II. Now, they invoke that angle that look, Japan and USA, sorry, China and USA fought shoulder to shoulder against Japan and defeated them. That's the victory. It's our victory, and we should keep it that way. And he said, look, Taiwan is mine. I will take it. Ye wo jo bhi hai. Why did he say all this? I think China is sensing a weakness in Trump. They say pressurize Trump, he might give in. So this is the first step. These are all incremental steps which are happening. Or China is very worried that the entire one China principle is on the rocks. The moment Japan gets into this deal and it starts, militarizing those islands, the one China principle goes out of the window. That's actually refuting the one China principle, which means Taiwan is an island too far, which means politically, internally in China, Xi Jinping's position becomes pretty untenable, and the CCP's own position will be untenable. People say, "What the hell are you talking? You've always been saying Taiwan, Taiwan, Taiwan. Now Japan has come and sat there. What can you do?" Which means if you invade Taiwan, definitely Japan is going to interfere. If Japan interferes, US will interfere. And so immediately Xi Jinping went and spoke to Trump. Is it in panic? Maybe. And he's reached out, China. I mean, under a certain amount of pressure, internal pressure in China, such things can happen. The other way of looking at it is they spoke of Ukraine also. They said, look, probably the deal would be that you want me to support you on Ukraine, take Ukraine peace and all that, then forget about Taiwan. Is that deal on the cards? Possible, because Trump is putting a lot of pressure on Ukraine and Russia to end that war one way or the other. Maybe Ukraine loses in it, but equally, there has to be more pressure on Ukraine and Russia to end that war, and a lot of that pressure can come from China. So the deal could be Xi Jinping, because a lot has been, the statements, if you see, is revolves around Ukraine and trade. So it's possible that this whole story is put across in a manner that I'll help you on Ukraine, you lay off Taiwan. Is that so? That is a dangerous situation for Taiwan, Asia, Western Pacific, Asia Pacific, and US. Is that the ploy of Xi Jinping? Possible. So, do they sense a weakness in America? Possible. Or panic, one of the two. What it will be, we'll come to know. And of course, it spoke of trade and all that nonsense, right? But that's there. Okay, look, this business suddenly invoking World War II victory and all that. Uh, you know, uh, Articles are coming out that Japan was defeated in World War II and it should be defeated again, and all that. Plus, now that's gaining traction. And now Xi Jinping is playing a sleight of hand to tell Trump, "Oh, we won." But the whole story doesn't end there, because there are two other parties to the story: Japan and Taiwan. Okay, but the interesting part in this whole thing is Trump has not said anything about his came out in Truth Social, and he says, I had a very good telephone call with President Xi of China. We discussed many topics, including Ukraine, Russia, fentanyl, soybean, and other farm products, etc. We have done a good and very important deal for our great farmers. It will only get better. Our relationship with China is extremely strong. The call was a follow up through to our highly successful meeting in South Korea in Busan 3 weeks ago. Since then, there has been significant progress on both sides in keeping our agreements current and accurate. Now we can set our sights on the big picture. To that end, President Xi invited me to Beijing in April, which I accepted, and I reciprocated where he will be my guest for a state visit in the US later in the year. We agreed that it is important that we communicate often, which I look forward to doing. Thank you for your attention in this matter. Nothing about Taiwan. So trade was spoken. He'll go to in April. He'll go to China. All that was spoken, but Xi Jinping has not touched Taiwan at all. On the Chinese side, they've said they have given their principal stand and they've invoked that Second World War military victory, all that. So completely, kind of a situation. So has Xi Jinping's threat worked? No. Has is there a panic? My guess is that China is in a tizzy. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with Japan. People say, look, Japan can't fight. Maybe Japan can't fight, but can China fight? Can China take a fight with Japan, which is a huge trading partner for it? If China does fight, it's like fighting itself. If China does fight, then it's getting diverted. And also remember, I said there are four fronts to China. China has the Korean Peninsula as a front, second is Taiwan, third is South China Sea, and fourth is India. ये जापान कहाँ से आ गया भाई बीच में 1.5 front to 2 front. So if you go against Japan militarily, some moves have been made. We'll see that. Where, I mean, I'll show it to you on map also. Now, the reaction from Taiwan is very clear. Return to China is not an option. Taiwan has said that very clearly. Taiwan also holds cards. It's got semiconductors. They said, sorry, we'll not get back. They're not interested. But to this, Xi Jinping has not yet said anything. Okay, and we know China is not going to be in a hurry to get into Taiwan. That part also is known. Then a couple of hours back, now this report comes from Japan. Now Japan has confirmed that after the call between Trump and Xi Jinping, Trump spoke to Takaichi, and he's briefed her whatever it is, whatever. Right? But what has been spoken and all has not come out. Okay, right. Now, Trump called her. He said Trump has briefed me and all that. But she didn't say anything. Okay, what transpired? Is Trump trying to defuse the situation? He might be. It puts him in an advantage position. Tomorrow he'll say I averted a war between Japan and China. And Japan will be okay with it, but China will look like as if it's running to Trump for mediation. So it's a game of jockeying which is going on at this point of time. But we don't know where this is going to go. That's why I'm coming out regularly with these issues. Maybe one of these days in Three Good Generals or on the gunner side, we'll discuss this whole thing in detail. But sure, one thing, focus back on Indo-Pacific. That's there. After this, things will heat up back in Indo-Pacific. If things heat up in Indo-Pacific, India is back in action. Because USA can do nothing in the Indo-Pacific without India. That we should be very clear about. Right? Let me go over and reiterate what are the importance. First island chain. This is the second island chain. If the first island chain is breached, China gets access to deep waters of the Indo-Pacific or the Pacific, Western Pacific. Holding China within the first thing is the actual containment of China. China feels that now that Japan has stepped into it militarily, or nearly so, the chances of it breaking Taiwan are less. Taiwan won't come back. If Taiwan doesn't come back, it remains contained. All its big navy will get bottled up. That's the problem that China has. And of course, China also doesn't want to get involved with the battle with Japan, because Japan doesn't solve containment or decontainment for China. That's the horns of a dilemma for the Chinese. Right? Just to give you an idea, 4 days back or about a week back now, China did sent 3 PLA warships to this place called Osumi, near Osumi Islands, which is in the heart of the Okinawa chain. Right? Here, if you see this, you will not be visible. This is the Osumi Strait. 3 PLA ships went through this area. Okay, and if you look, this is Osumi, and this faintly you can see this chain of islands, the Okinawa Islands. They come and they're here next to Taiwan. These are all shallow, narrow passages. You can't deploy major vessels across. For that, you need this area. And this area, this is called the Bashi Strait. This is Luzon. On Luzon, already America has deployed Typhoon systems. They left it. Last year, there was an exercise in Luzon, not Luzon, in the peninsula here, and they left the Typhoon system. Typhoon system covers up to the mainland. Plus, if the typhoon is here, you can't go through the Bashi Strait. If you can't go through the Bashi Strait, naval blockade of Taiwan is out of the question. And in between, actually, there's one island. I'm forgetting the name of that island. Here. That constricts the Bashi Strait to just about 40-50 kilometers. Not here, somewhere here, there's this island called Yoniguni. Yoniguni. Yeah, this is Yoniguni. Small island. Japan has already put missiles out there. Earlier they had put something else, but now proper missiles are there. And this is just 100 kilometers away. Any ship which is coming here, if you have to blockade Taiwan, this will get affected. This is not new, it is old. But it has come into thing. 22, when Nancy Pelosi came into this area, the Chinese fired 11 missile systems, 11 missiles across Taiwan. One of them came somewhere in this area. And there was a hell of a lot of things. In fact, I think after that, a few chaps in the Chinese military were purged also. But Japan took it up very seriously. Now, take that into consideration and see now, after that, the militarization has started. Now they're planning to put tomahawks here. If they put tomahawks have a range of over 1,000 kilometers. 100 though is very small. Every ship in this area is a sitting duck. So once these are militarized, well, the bets are off for everyone. So China is in a position. It's in a tough position. Whether it will get out of it or not, we don't know. But China has also done something else, of course. Just to give you a little farther, you see this chain of islands, Okinawa chain. And this is, you see, there's no space here between these islands. You get the next set of space here, that Osumi Straits. Okay. And this area is the Sea of Japan, and this is, of course, Russia, Vladivostok, Korea. I'm sorry. This is not the map. This is the map. Yeah. Korea, North Korea, South Korea, Japan, Russia. This is Vladivostok. So China is starting to do exercises here. So sooner or later, if China wants to complicate matters for Japan, I'm sure Russia will step in. Now, if Russia steps in here, then the effect on Ukraine. One has to see all this, where this whole story is going, right? And it's getting complicated by the day. That's why I'm keeping a track of it and coming out with short videos, which all of you can absorb. Well, we'll keep it going. I do hope you like this video. If you have liked this video, do press the like button, the thumb, and also subscribe to Gunner Shot, right? And press the bell icon, and I'll be grateful if some of you join me as members. With this, thank you. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Jai Hind.